principle behind this machine has been around for a long time, checking how a very low voltage passes through your body in terms of conductance, reactance, and whether you're a capacitor, resistor. Those have important biological implications, and we'll talk about that more. But let's measure yours first. If you really understand how cells work, you begin to realize their electrical properties are one of the most important parts of the biology. The cells have to be able to manage voltage, have to be able to manage ion distribution, ion pumping, and how well it handles current, ion movement, is a fundamental measure of the health of the cells. Simple illustration. When you contract a muscle, that muscle, all those cells have to pump a huge amount of ions, calcium ions. And when it relaxes, it has to be able to pump back in huge amounts of calcium ions. The cell's ability to both pump in and out and partition, keep out, keep in ions is a fundamental measure of the health of the cells. And as you can imagine why, that depends on how well the cell walls are able to keep ions in or out or pump them in and out. So this electrical property is a deep insight into the health of the cells. And that's what we're looking for. As you know, in quantitative medicine, measuring things, using things, tracking things, creating a baseline and trend line is how we keep track of how are we effectively getting healthy or are we effectively getting less healthy. The easy piece of data everybody wants to know is how fat am I? What percentage of my body is fat? And you're sitting here at 31.7%. It would be better if it was in the mid-20s, just as a reference. The other thing that's useful is your skeletal mass. How much muscle do you have? How it's distributed? This can be helpful in terms of determining what your training regimen should be like. Should you focus on your legs? Should you focus on your core? Now, again, back to the electrical properties of the cell. Everybody who's ever had a battery in their car, in the old days, we actually had to check for, is there water in there? Because the hydration level has a lot to do with how these ions are distributed in the cells. When you're young, you're very well hydrated. When you're older, you're more dehydrated. So keeping track of your hydration, over which you have a lot of control, is important. But even more important is what does your body do with that hydration? Is it putting it in the cells, which is where we want it, or is it putting it in the spaces between the cells and in the blood? So looking at you, you're less than the 50th percentile for hydration level for your age. I'd like more there. But of more significance, more of that water is extracellular. I want the extracellular water to be low. So this is showing that you're leaky. Your cells are a little leaky. They're leaking that cell water, the fluid, into the spaces between the cells and in places where it's not healthy for them. This is a reflection of your nutritional status or some general inflammatory process. So I want you more hydrated, and I want more of that water intracellular than extracellular. So we've got to look at, are you well nourished? Are you undergoing some kind of sickness? Or are you overtrained or undertrained? This helps us make some decisions. So you're in relatively good health. You can make it better by being more hydrated, consuming fewer dehydrators, coffees, teas, colas, and alcohol, and doing what you can to improve the inflammatory environment. That can be a nutritional issue, it can be an illness issue, and it also can be an exercise issue.